Paul, wonderful to meet you here. How's it going?
It's okay, not too bad. Yeah, we've been pretty busy.
Excellent.
Yeah, we've been, big rush trying to get ready for the show and getting here, jet lag, but it's cool. Yeah, it's been a good show so far.
Excellent. Well, I'm really excited to be here and look at your products, the new prototype bike. So, Paul, before we start, I want to know something about your story.
Oh, my story? Okay. Probably a little unusual. I moved to China about 6 years ago, and I met my wife there, and then never really had a plan to do electric bike stuff. I was just fascinated with the electric bikes, saw them everywhere in China. Coming from an engineering background, I figured that I like to play with them at first, just a hobby, and then started to buy a few things. I thought, I saw that people were buying these things from Endless Sphere, and I saw that I could buy these things in China, and I understand this kind of stuff. It's not too difficult. So I started to sell them in a small way. I don't know, 4 years ago or something, wow. 4 or 5 years ago. Then slowly, things happened. One thing led to another, and then before you know it, I've got one person helping me, a small, doing stuff in our apartment. Then there's another person helping me, and then we've got like a basic factory. And just slowly, over the course of, the last 4 years, we've built up to a bit more. Still pretty small, maybe like, maybe 10 people in total, including, myself. And
so right now there are 10 people working for you at the store?
There's around that, there's, it's a kind of family business really. My wife is Chinese, and a lot of her family helps, which really helps with the, people stay, we're not always having people changing, so we've got a lot of stable staff, and they know the product, they really care, they want to do a good job. We haven't got many people that just turn up. Most of the people there, are related in some way. So it's quite cool.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, you have built a really nice company, sort of mini company, and especially for bike people who want to build their own bikes. It's really well known.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
And moving forward, what's your thoughts on taking it to the next level?
For us, I mean, we work very closely with Mac, and with that, I had a lot of ideas about how to improve the motor. Like a couple of years ago, I had a lot of thoughts about what we could do to improve it, and I've been working with Mac to realize those ideas, and now we're getting towards a point where the new range of motors are going to be coming out maybe later this year, early 2016, and we're going to start implementing these new ideas. With our own stuff, we're kind of, I would say our focus is actually on batteries. We manufacture the batteries in our place, and let's say late last year, we moved to a new factory, much better facilities. We bought a lot of equipment. We bought big CNC router, auto tool changer kind of thing. Full size, kind of as big as this, bigger than this booth actually. And then we bought a stamping machine. We bought a CNC table for welding. So all these things are basically to bring our battery production onto a new level. And in recent months, we've been trying to implement all these new things. So now we're trying to make a battery pack, small scale. We're not talking like someone needs to buy thousands from us. It's like someone can come along and they can say, we want this. And a small business can say, we want this kind of special battery. And we can realize it with the kind of stuff that most people are not doing. Every cell in the pack is fused, which I think is a really a huge advantage. So we're basically, the way we are doing this, we're doing CNC cell holders. So all the internal structure is done on our CNC machine, and because it's our own machine, we don't, we can just do it, we just make a drawing and we just do it. We get a sheet of plastic, we do it, no problem. And we have the this one wasn't done this way. This is just a battery that I sent to a friend of mine and we didn't bring a lot of batteries to the show. We was just really rushed, so we're not really pushing our batteries at the show. But we are selling quite a few batteries now with this technology, and basically every single cell in the pack is fused. Every cell. So that just, to me, that's the only way you can guarantee, almost guarantee full safety.
Sure.
Yeah. So in the next few months, when we're in the quieter months, over the autumn-winter months, we want to start changing all our batteries over to this technique, CNC spot welding.
So what is the benefit of such a battery?
The benefit for me is, from a safety standpoint, is that every cell in the pack is fused. So no matter what you do, the worst case scenario is a few fuses pop. That's it. You're not going to have a catastrophic incident. No matter what you do, if I get a screwdriver and I stick it in the side of the battery, then a few fuses blow. Okay, the batteries doesn't work, but this is not designed to be popping at a normal situation. This is a last resort. You're going to have a fuse outside. That fuse will pop way before the internal fuse. It's just this final line of safety. So no matter what someone does, no matter how stupid someone treats the battery, it should just, it's what Tesla's doing, and we're doing it in our own way, but it's the same basic idea. You can't. And it also speeds up our own process. We can actually do it more efficiently. We've had to spend money on machines, and I didn't want to send this outside because you can't get people to do this kind of thing on small scale. If you want to do this kind of thing and you want to really learn it, you need to do it yourself. I'm not going to learn something if I just say, okay, I need 1,000 of these. I'm not going to learn nothing. So if I can do this in-house, and we're learning all the time. We're learning, it's a mythology. It's not like, it's one battery. It's a method of building a battery. So we're just using a method, and then we can apply that method to other things. And we need to learn new stuff. How are we going to make it work here? How are we going to? So then after any battery, we can apply this method. Yeah. And because it's all done on CNC, it doesn't need. All it needs is a few drawing changes. Worst case, we need to make a new mold for the die press.
Sure.
But that's not hugely expensive. It's reasonable. So it's cool.
So the new battery, along with the new Baffin 1000 watt kit.
Yeah. The Baffin kits come in now. Everyone's gonna have them,
Sure.
So it's just like what's out there. But at least for us, we're gonna be offering batteries that can really work with that.
Sure.
Our batteries. We're not going to sell a battery that, the new Baffin's 30 amps. For us, 30 amps is nothing. Because we already sell stuff that's 50 amps, 30 amps, whatever, 40 amps, no problem. If someone wants 80 amps, it's no problem. We can build it. Whereas most of these other guys, they're buying batteries from, some guy, whatever, and it's just like, they're running them at the limits.
Sure.
If I sell a battery that's 40 amps, then we can do 40 amps.
Sure. Sure. So maybe you could introduce the new lineup here quickly.
Okay. Yeah. So the new Mac is basically, the inner structure is not hugely different. The inner structure is largely the same. Its exterior packaging has changed quite a lot. So what we've got here is basically just a nicer design of the original Mac. It's going to have some, more modern features, a bit more disk clearance, which is always a bit of a complaint for the Mac, is it's a bit tight, but this one is like around 20 mil.
Sure.
It's going to have a cassette option, cassette or freewheel option.
Sure.
There's some things that the cassette put some special limitations on the motor. But anyway, that's a bit detailed. We don't need to go into that. This is the clever one. This is the one that I personally had a lot of input in, and this is basically a
quick release.
It can have a quick release. We don't need to, because the torque arm is all integrated to the motor, and this is designed to fit a standard disc caliper mount. So you don't need your caliper mounting. So this basically fits in We need to figure out the details for every different bike, but this is like a standard IS IS mount, is it?
Yes, I think so.
IS mount. So this one has 3 functions. One is it's a torque arm. That's why you can have a quick release. 2, it's a caliper mount. So it holds the brake caliper. 3, it's a heatsink.
Oh,
This is
wow.
most importantly. This is where the whole idea came from, is to bring a heat path from the inner structure of the motor out. So what we're doing here is basically have a direct mechanical link from the inner structure to this and then out to this.
I see.
And I mean, we've not really played on the heatsink part of it here, but you know, we could add, you know, fins and stuff to improve the heat dissipation. But I mean, this thing, when you run it hard, this thing's hot before the case is even warm. You know? So you're just bringing the heat, drawing the heat out of the motor. Because of the design. Oh yeah, also with the cable exit is from here. It doesn't exit through the axle.
I see.
This is a bit rough. Let me see. So it exits from here. We have to use a special disc. So we use a 203mm disc. It's a requirement. So that'll be supplied by us.
Okay.
And because it's this way, the disc is actually very stiff. I didn't think about this, but you know, someone mentioned to me that, oh, this disc is really strong. You know, so you know, it shouldn't be as liable to be, you know, bent or whatever. So, but anyway, it's a pretty.
So this is a
pretty
front
cool.
motor or a rear?
It could be a front or a rear. This is a rear with a cassette.
Okay.
And because we're not running any through the axle doesn't need to be big. The axle can be pretty small, and that way we can run. The limitations with these cassettes is that you need to have a fairly small bearing, and that's why it puts some limitations on the actual motor design.
What is it rated for? What is the watt rating?
Well, we're not too sure about this one. This one, I mean, the Mac is traditionally, they kind of rate them around 1,000 watts, but it depends on the winding, really.
Sure.
It depends how fast you're running it, but a lot of people run them about, you know, a lot of people are running them with 1,500 watt input power very safely. People run up to about 2,000 watts. We supply them, and we kind of, let's say we'll guarantee them running up to about 2,000 watts. But 2,000 watts, you know, reliability suffers a little bit. It depends how you use it. If you use it reasonably, you can be very reliable at 2,000 watts. But if you're riding up, you know, really steep hills, you've got a fast motor, it could get hot. If you're really hitting the, you know, rough terrain, the gears and the clutch can suffer. Gears are generally very reliable. Clutch is probably the weakest point, but you know, they're still pretty good. They're as good as out there.
Sure.
You know.
And also, I'm curious to hear about your new prototype bike.
Yeah, and actually, this is the front version of that motor. This is a 20mm through axle, and this is a very similar idea to this rear motor. But what we've done is fit it to a front, and this we've used a special, a new idea of how to mount into a standard 20mm through axle fork. You know, so these are generally pretty standard. So we've got these little special spacers. We'll have a hollow axle, and so the axle actually stops here. The axle's pretty short. So without this, you know, you pull it out and it kind of just drops out. And this is the torque arm. The torque arm's only working in one way, so that's why obviously we're going to do a better job. This was only finished like one day before we flew out to Vegas. So yeah, so this is all a bit new, and it hasn't been anodized. It's, you know, it's just fresh off the fresh off the machine, you know. Yeah, but yeah, this is pretty cool. Basic same idea.
So this is the new controller, 18-fit controller.
Yeah, I mean, what we're doing with this is, you know, it's not like a leaps and bounds. It's basically what we've been offering, but it's just nicely packaged. You know, it's just it's a similar controller, but with a nice case, nice connectors. So, you know, you're not having to mess around with a. Hey, Greg.
Sure.
You know, so we're going to the nice Hogo connector, and what we're going to try to do is maybe run the cycle analyst directly. This is CA3 cycle analyst, so we're going to go directly to here, And we're going to also have the high-go plugs coming out, the cycle analyst, and so basically we're going to try and standardize all our stuff. So we'll use the same throttles, the same e-brakes, the same everything across the Bafang range and across the mat kits that we offer. So just keep it all, keep it all simple, and it's waterproof. And this cable has dual function. You can run the cycle analyst through it. You can also run just simple throttles. So we'll supply a loom to match what you want to do. This is kind of like does everything. This does the connections. So there's no messing around with cables. Waterproof, neat, compact, tidy. So it adds a little cost, but not a huge amount, and it just makes it so much more tidy.
This can be, we can have almost 5 kilowatt-hour of battery capacity. This
bike, I mean, this is the frame that we're selling now, and it's a really good start point for a high-powered e-bike, or even not so high-powered, I mean, we're retailing these for like $500 for the frame only, and we're also starting to sell the suspension packages to go with it too, and we'll also be selling all of the bike parts that go with it. We're not going to be selling the bike parts. They're not going to be the highest end parts. We're just going to get something to, a reasonable package, cost effective. Sure. So we're looking at a complete package minus the electric parts. It's hard to say an exact price, but probably $1,200 to $1,500, depending on the spec, without the electric parts. And then the electric parts is really up to you. I mean, we've got our various controllers. So we will offer a package in the coming months that will be basically like a kit of parts that will basically be this. Excellent. Something like this, maybe a big DD motor or a Mac motor or 2 Mac motors or whatever. We'll try and make a package that is all plug and play. This bike is quite special in that it's running 2 new versions. This is the big Mac motor that we've been working on. This is basically 2 Mac motors inside. Wow. When I say 2 Mac motors, it's double the width. So this is a 42mm wide motor. We've got the same gears, but we're actually just running steel gears for now. We need a bit more time to work out the gears, because basically the power is just too much. It just shreds the gears. Twist the throttle once and the gears are shredded. So it's really powerful. And it's pretty powerful.